Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to take a look at the final wave of Black Series 3 3/4 inch figures to be released before the Force Awakens products arrive, and we're going to take a look at perhaps one of the best waves of Black Series 3 3/4 inch figures that's been released for quite some time. The characters that are in this wave are absolutely fantastic, the quality seems to be spot on, and it really is one of my favourite selections of characters and figures from the Black Series so far. We're going to kick things off with a really popular character in today's review, and when I say that, I've had so many requests from you guys to review this figure. On most of my recent videos that I've posted as of late, you guys have always said, are you going to review this figure? When is the review on this figure coming? Well, I'm happy to say it's finally here, so you can rest easy, because in today's review we are going to take a look at none other than this guy. This is of course Clone Commander Thorn, who once again, like with Commander Doom, Captain Rex and Commander Wolf that I gave you a look at in some of my recent videos, appeared in Season 6 of the Clone Wars animated series, which was also known as The Lost Missions. Now, Clone Commander Thorn didn't get a load of screen time, and spoiler alert for those of you that may not have seen it, he does meet a bit of an untimely end, but he does meet a heroic death. So I'll try not to go into too much detail about that. I know I've already spoiled the outcome for a lot of people, but there is a lot more to it than that, so I'll let you check out the episode for yourself. Now, before we get onto this figure, as always, we're going to take a look at the packaging that he comes in, and once again we get the bog standard Black Series packaging design for this guy. You've got the TIE Fighter pilot card back design. We have an image of Thorn down in the bottom corner. As you can see, this is a European release, so we get the multi-language name tab just below that. And on the reverse side, sadly we don't get a still image from the Clone Wars series, and we don't even get a bio or character description. Instead we just get this horrible, messy warning label, and it just looks awful. So I'm not a huge fan of that, and this, it just influences my decision not to keep these particular figures carded. So nothing too special going on with the packaging. The real highlight of this one is inside. So let's take a look at the figure itself. Now, Clone Commander Thorn, for all intents and purposes, is actually a really nice figure. He is of course based on the look and feel of the shock troopers that appear in Revenge of the Sith. Obviously he's got those red markings all over the armour, very reminiscent of Clone Commander Fox, who also appears in the Clone Wars animated series. Obviously, as a shock trooper, Commander Thorn is part of the Coruscant Guard, and he really does fit in nicely with the rest of the shock troopers that Hasbro have released. He's got a very nice, bright and vibrant red colour scheme to him, and it looks really nice. Now, this particular Clone Commander figure is a repaint of Commander Doom that I gave you a look at previously. However, there are some minor modifications made, and I'll talk about those in just a little bit. One thing I do want to mention about this particular figure is that the paint applications are ever so slightly sloppy on my sample. I don't know whether this is a running theme throughout most of these figures, or whether it is just, damn luck and I didn't get a particularly good sample. But the paint just seems to be a little bit hit and miss on this guy. If we take a look underneath the helmet, just on the neck there, you'll see, I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but there's quite a bit of black paint missing from the bodysuit underneath the armour. So you've got some of that white plastic leaking through. As you can see, if we come down the bottom of the figure, some of the paint on the shins, it's not majorly evident, but there is some scuffs and some wear and tear on the legs, as you'll see on the back there as well. Just a little bit of sloppy paint around the rest of the figure. Now, as I said, this could just be my sample, but from what I've read online, a lot of people have had this issue, so it does lose a few points rather, in that respect. But for the most part, it is a really nice figure. Obviously, it utilises the new Clone Trooper sculpt, which I'm not a massive fan of. As I mentioned in some of my previous videos, the body feels a little bit blocky, a little bit square, and the head feels a little bit small. But other than that, it looks decent. For me personally, I think Commander Doom looks a little bit better, but I think that's mainly just because Commander Doom is sort of a colour scheme and a figure that we've not really seen before, whereas with the Shock Trooper design, we've seen numerous figures like this in the past. Now, as I mentioned, this guy is a repaint of Clone Commander Doom, but he does feature a few modifications, and the first one you'll notice is on the chest. that this guy doesn't have the rank badge. Now this is something that Commander Thorn is seen with in the episode of the Clone Wars in which he appears, but for whatever reason Hasbro decided to leave it off this figure, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering that they could have just repainted Commander Doom straight off, you know, included the rank badge and had a 100% accurate version, but for whatever reason it's not there. The other modification that's been made to this figure is of course the antenna on the shoulder, which is ridiculously thick. I'm not a huge fan of that by any means. It looks quite ridiculous. Take a look at that there. It's very, very thick, completely out of scale with the rest of the figure and just unnecessary. So I'm not a huge fan of that, not particularly enjoying the really thick plastic that's going on there. But other than that, the figure is, as I said, decent. The one thing I really do like about this figure are the decals on the helmet. As you can see, you've got those wings there painted on the helmet, and you've also got some white stripes on the chin piece. Also included with this particular figure are two DC-17 pistols. For my past few reviews I've been calling these DL-44s, don't know where I got that from because it was wrong. These are in fact DC-17 pistols. Now in terms of articulation, Clone Commander Thorn does come with quite a bit. He does feature a ball joint at the head, which is not a massive movement, but you know, you can see a little bit of that posability in there. We have hinges at the shoulders and at the elbows, hinges at the wrists, although the figure does suffer from that issue where he doesn't hold the weapons particularly well. As you can see, they're a little bit loose. We have a swivel at the waist, although once again it's a very tight joint. We also have swivels at the hips, ball hinges at the knees and ball hinges at the ankles. So for the most part you can get him in pretty much every Clone Trooper pose, but again he does lose some of that articulation that was featured in the Vintage Collection Clone Trooper sculpt. So not a bad figure by any means, but not particularly my favourite Clone Commander that's ever been released. Again, I think the main issue with this guy is the fact that the paint scheme is just a little bit boring. You know, we've seen numerous shock troopers already, and this guy doesn't really bring anything new to the table. But it's a nice figure, and if you're a Clone Trooper fan, I would highly recommend this figure because it's a nice addition to the collection. So that is going to do it for this review on Clone Commander Thorn. I hope it was worth the wait. As I said, this is possibly one of my most requested reviews for quite some time. But there it is. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll be back to review the rest of this wave in my next few videos. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, as always, keep collecting. May the Force be with you. And before I forget, if you want to buy this figure for yourself, hit the link down below in the video description. This guy's in stock at staractionfigures.co.uk, and you can add him to your collections right now. So once again, thank you for watching guys, and until next time, may the Force be with you.